every thought that comes up, every word that comes up, every topic and every feeling and every interaction that happens is always beneficial, and it's always perfect and miraculous. No matter how it looks to me or the person while it's happening, in the end, it's fuck, how did that even, the fact that that was able to trigger what you were feeling is amazing. However, I want to honor every angle of every side of you as my client, someone who invested time and money and energy to come here, and as my friend, and just as a human, okay, on all levels. And that includes me acknowledging the validity of everything that you're saying. And there's something about a full stop. Okay, so this topic is just too important, honey. I'm just going to invite you, whatever there is. I want to get to this big thing that we're talking about. However, right now, this is the big thing. Okay, this is the big thing. In communication, there's something called a full stop. And very often, we don't take full stops. We make our point, and then we don't check in to make sure, is everybody, like, okay, everybody's got that was the full point. In Indian, in Native American conversations, apparently some South American, Central American, who knows where it originated, the talking stick, okay? So I get done speaking, and then we all give it a moment of silence before I hand the fucking stick, so that everybody feels, let's honor what was said by giving it what? It is awesome. And giving it its silent space where, okay, we all acknowledge that was said, we've all heard it, and that's the opposite of waiting till the other person's done. Sorry, Jefferson! I have to say them, but I can't wait till you're done! And then you're done with it! You know? And that's where we almost all live.
And may I add that an additional element of the talking stick idea is people will say aho to like kind of like, that is the full stop, like, and everyone else acknowledging the other person, like presencing, like, I heard you, aho. Yeah, like, thank you for sharing your truth.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily imply agreement.
Yep.
The next person who speaks may speak in utter, total, direct
opposition.
Yeah, I almost wanted to say opposition. For me, for if we're when people honor themselves in the way that I'm talking, and each other in the way that I'm talking about, it isn't actually opposition. Yeah. It's just my position, which may not be in agreement to yours, and that's where synergy can be possible, right? If we're nursing our hurt feelings, we're not going to hear what the other person said. So that's where breathing and being present. So a talking stick is a fucking turd unless there's presence. Why have the talking stick if there's not presence? The whole combination of the talking stick, the agreements around it. Like, in other words, the groups who would use a talking stick, they didn't just have a talking stick. It was a part of a conscious communication culture, and they honored everybody getting to speak it. Some tribes or some groups would do aho, others would just honor it with silence. Mm-hmm. That acknowledgement is a valuable thing. And there is a big conversation for you and me today, perhaps tomorrow, tonight, that goes further into everything that happened last night. It's essential, and it's the core of what you came here for. And the question that you asked, when is it okay to talk? Okay, when is it okay to talk? How do we know when it's okay to talk? When we're present, we never have to ask that question ever, because we always know beyond the shadow of a doubt we know. In this work that I do with people, I talk all the fucking time, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. This is not normal. In my daily life, I listen, I talk, I go silent. I might be in a group of people and I might not say a fucking word for hours while I'm listening to everybody else. Believe it or not. Isn't it true, babe? Back me up. It's true. I don't.
Sometimes he doesn't say a word.
Yeah. And when I'm listening, I fucking listen. I don't have anything to say. And I'm not thinking. I'm here. And you know I'm here when I'm listening. There's no question about it. In this space, not just the pyramid, but in this, Brian, I paid you, I'm coming to work with you. I'm driving, and that's just how it is. I'm the fucking alpha male bear, and I'm in charge. And until you say I need a break, I ain't stopping. I'm not sleepwalking. I'm not unaware. And I don't miss. I am fucking badass at what I do. Maybe the best. Definitely one of the best. And the reason that I talk the whole time is to prevent you from doing what you always do. That's why I'm doing this. I see some recognition. I see some willingness in you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I do it. And it's only in this space. We go to dinner and you watch. I'm going to be listening.
Or dialoguing.
Yeah, if there's something for me to contribute, I will. But I'm going to be listening. I mean, you'll see the very difference. And when you do speak, when I invite that and you're speaking, you know I'm listening. 100%, you know. So, those points that you just made, listening, almost, I'm going to go back to the kindergarten. Almost nobody knows how to communicate. Almost nobody knows how to communicate. And there is a format for communication that can be learned. They don't teach this shit in school, okay? But, so it's talk, someone talks, I talk, and you guys are listening. And then, so I have transmitted, you could call step one transmission. Somebody's transmitted, the others are receiving. Now, oh, by the way, I should say this. I'm talking about functioning communication that actually works, not what everybody else is always doing. Functional communication is transmission, reception, reflection, feedback. And the feedback can be in many, many, many forms. It could be, yes, I've got what you say. Or it might, if it's really obvious, hey, would you please hand me the pillow? Yes, that's feedback. You don't need to say, let me make sure, do I completely understand every aspect of, when you say the pillow, do you mean this pillow? Do you mean another? You know, we don't need a bunch of complex bullshit if it's hand me the pillow, please. But if we're talking about deep, complex things, the feedback can be in the form of, let me make sure I'm understanding you. What I believe that I'm hearing you say is this and this and this. Now I'm feeding back. Then the next opportunity for feedback is on your part, where you say, okay, Brian, on the 3 things that I said about this, you have complete understanding. You have said what I've said. That 4th detail, I'd like to clarify. Okay, I'm willing. Now, we're feeding back until we achieve resonance. And that's a complete cycle of communication. And almost nobody ever gets that. Almost nobody ever gets it. You didn't have it with your mom. She didn't have it with her family. Okay? And so to speak, you and they have been suffering from the lack of that, okay, and desiring more of that without always having the tools to facilitate it. Number one tool being presence, being fueled by breath, to be resourceful enough to be present. And when I'm present, not only do I get to be present to what you're saying, and all the nonverbal clues and cues that come through, I also get to be present to all of the feelings it brings up in me that I would otherwise be tossed around by and find myself unable to listen to. And that's where we've been almost all our lives. Wow.
This is true.
This is true.
So we have all these blockages.
So I have feelings in me. I have scars and woundings and whatever the fuck you want to call it, little magnets, marks on my projector lens, just like everybody else. I have at this moment way less than I ever did before. And at this point, I have reached a level of communication mastery, of listening, and of presence that's extremely rare on the planet. And there's more available to me. The reason I'm able to listen the way that I do, the reason I'm able to parent the way I parent, the reason I'm able to navigate the relationship that we have the way I do, the reason I'm able to do what I do with clients. Now, here's a side note for a moment. If I were you, or if I were you, if I was any client that was, or someone reading my book, one of the things I would be wondering is, how the fuck does he do that? Especially if I'm watching Brian do spell breaks, either in person or in a group or online or even watching a replay. With my mind and the way I think, if I watch somebody doing spell breaks, I'd be like, what the fuck? How did he hear 4 words? They didn't even start on their story, and he went and knew the whole thing and was able to guide them to heal the whole issue, but he never even heard their story to know what it was. How the fuck did he do that? Have you ever wondered that? Has that crossed your mind? Like, what is he doing that lets him do that?
Yeah, so this is what I feel, and I think that's what you do, is that you get something, some kind of voice or message or something that comes through you, then you don't even know what's going on, what you're going to say, or what's going to come about next. You know, like every time that we've sat down, not every time, but you know, the major times that things that happened, like last night, it came out of kind of organically out of the blue. You know, for me it did, maybe it didn't for you, but it was from one little thing, the next little thing is like, and then, I got pissed. So, you know, I let you know, this isn't okay with me. Whoa, that was a big spell break for me, because that's right on dot, you know. It came about, and you brought it about, you know, just like what we're doing right now, you know. It comes about, it's like from one conversation, and a lot of the conversations that we have are like, it's not anything. I mean, it's not like we mean to have this conversation. It's not planned, it just kind of happens. So it must come from somewhere out here to you. And you probably don't even know it's going to come, but it does. And it's like, this is something that needs to be addressed, right? So there's all these other things that I think you're so tapped in, and you're so present that it comes to you. Because where I'm not talking about you, but most people are so all over the place.
I can be there.
You know, well, it's human nature, and most people are not so present. So if you're really present, all of a sudden we hear other things. Something comes to us, and like, oh, okay, that was nice. Thank you.
But is it human nature, or is it us being asleep?
It's by us being asleep, because human nature.
I believe I'm modeling human nature, and it's not the norm. So what's the difference between natural and normal?
Natural and normal. Normal, there is no normal.
Oh, there is. There absolutely is. Yes. Normal means this is one of the things we've been sleepwalking through.
Yeah.
Natural means what is my actual nature, what arises from my being naturally. Normal is what is the majority doing.
Okay, I got that.
And the norm is sleepwalking, non-present, so non-present that I'm tossed around by everything. So there's there's a Zen Buddhist image that basically it refers and talks about when the wind's blowing across the lake and you're looking at the reflection of the moon. It's a mangled fucking mess. But when the wind stops and the water's calm, you can look at the reflection on the water and see the moon.
I like that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'm seeing the moon way more than most people, having quieted this down and come to presence, because the water moving, that's non-presence. The still water is present. Okay, so.
Yeah, I got that.
Yes. So with this conversation about the phone and bringing up the feelings and what I said about you shouldn't have your phone around, I wanna isolate those, because this is one of the things that we all do until we start to wake up a little bit. We blur things together without knowing that we're blurring things together. Like the phone rang 3 times too many this morning, as if I was the authority of what's too many or not, right? The phone, and then she wanted me to do this thing, and then I remember that I didn't do that other thing, and then the kids, and then the phone, and then you walk in the door, and I'm like, fuck you. And you're like, good morning, asshole. You had no idea that I just let 32 things stack up before you walked in the door. Okay, so some things had stacked up for you that came out in that thing. And there's something in sales training. Now, sales training, especially really high level effective sales training, it's actually not sales training, it's actually communication training. But nobody knows that, because you have to have sales training. When you don't know how to communicate, you have to have sales training. When you really know how to communicate, nobody ever needs any sales training. So some things I learned earlier in life through very high level sales training are some of the reasons why, well, I was one of the top salespeople in the world ever as far as my statistics, and it's a big part of why I can communicate the way I do. It's called isolating an objection. Now, with have you ever done any? Well, you've done store sales.
Yeah.
You can, okay. Yeah. So with sales, here's the thing. You come to me, and I'm talking to you about you being able to act in your own best interest on something that I have to share with you, and you're not giving me a yes yet. Now, if I'm a true professional, loving, conscious salesperson, I'm not going for a yes. I'm actually working to find out if this is for you, giving you the grace and the space to decide whether you want to say yes or not. That's conscious sales. Unconscious sales, I'm going for the yes, whether it's in your best interest or not. Ironically, though, the same thing works, whether I'm doing it unconsciously or consciously. So you say to me, well, Brian, I don't really like those, I don't like green powders because they taste like shit. And I'm talking to you about Purium, and I say, interesting. So I hear that what you're saying to me is, you don't want to try this product because you don't like yucky tasting green powders. Now, then you say, I don't know about pyramids, and I might be allergic to something that's in that other product. Now, you've told me a few different things, and to you, that's a cloud in your mind, and I'm present enough to know that. So I might say to you, I hear these things you're saying, I know you have a reason for it. Speaking about the green powder, because that's actually what I was focused on with you, was not the business and not the ingredient in that other product. We were talking about the green powder. So my question for you is, if you found a green powder that really tasted awesome, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to try this? And you can look at that question and say, well, actually, now that I really think about it, no, that's the only thing I really have against green powders. Most of them taste like I'm licking a cow's tongue, it's been eating grass. It's disgusting. And now I've isolated your objection. In sales terminology, I've isolated your objection. In conscious communication terminology, I've isolated your concern. And now we can actually navigate to the next position. As long as we agree to have this conversation and that we're discussing the possibility of something that could be of mutual benefit and mutual interest, I've isolated your concern. And I say, well, so you're telling me that if it wasn't for yucky taste, you'd be okay. This actually has a couple of fruits in it that, without adding any troublesome glycemic level sugars, actually gives it a pretty yummy taste. Most people find it's yummy. Would you be willing to taste it? And then it's up to you to say yes or no to that. But if I hear the cloud of your nose, and I'm like, oh, come on, you stupid bitch, you need to fucking try this. You know, I just try to bulldoze your stupidity because that's all I see. Or maybe I fold because, oh, she's got that cloud of reasons, I guess I'll just go. Right? That's what most people do.
Yeah. Grab a blankie. That's really funny. Anyway, so let me ask you, how does this correlate to what we were talking about?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. All right, her babe. Thank you for the play-by-play. Okay. I'm so glad you asked that question. Here's how it correlates. One issue is Brian saying, don't have your phone or use your phone as little as possible over the next few days, but he didn't follow that rule. That's one of the items that was on your list. Honey, I'm not here for the work, you are. My telling you use your phone as little as possible over these days is because you're here doing this deep work on you to clear these things and raise your presence. And I know from experience that the less you communicate with your normal life and people and situations, and the less you're engaged in any kind of chit chat, the more you're going to be in yourself having the benefits and the growth. I'm not doing that work, you are. So if I were training you, if I were your coach and I was training you and you were in a process where you were wanting to put on 30 pounds for the fight, or you were wanting to lose 2 pounds to get into a category, and then you said to me, well, Brian, you're making me eat all this heavy stuff, but you're not. I'm not training for it, honey, you are. So of course it doesn't matter whether I am on my phone for these 3 or 4 days, and it very much matters whether you are. That's over the course of the whole days, in session and out of session. It is important for you and beneficial for you to be away from electronics, from phone, and from communicating with the normal people. In other words, withdrawing from the daily conversation so that you can pull fully into yourself. That's what the reason for that was.
Okay, so that correlates to the conversation that you were explaining to me before. Yeah.
Well, and here, last night and this one, so here's how. When you just brought up the reasons why you felt upset, one of them was, Brian, you said no phone for these few days, and you were on your phone. That was one. I know that's blurred in and blended in with all the other reasons. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the only reason why I brought that up is because I had a breakthrough, and I said when I looked up, you were on your phone, and that did bring up an issue for me, right? So I had to bring that up, and I think you want me to bring that up. Because,
I do.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So I brought it up, and I also felt that, I know your reasoning that, right, tell me if I'm wrong, that, see, I'm using your language.
You are.
So, you told me that, that you did not want me to use my phone because it would take me away from my learning and my experience, which I have not done. I turn off my phone. Have you seen me on my phone very much?
No.
Yeah, I don't really buy into that because I really think that that's not okay to do, especially in this situation, and respect for everybody and myself, to do that. So in my opinion, at the time when I saw you on the phone, at that time I felt like, well, if I shouldn't use my phone and we should be present and aware, then I didn't have a problem using your phone with your kids, because that's important, to communicate, make sure everything coincides with your kids. But I had a little bit of problem, okay, and I said this, that when I kept looking up at you, you were on your phone, and that's it. So I'm ready to move on from this conversation because I'm not angry. You know, the weirdest thing is I actually moved out of, I truly did. I kept on thinking about it this morning. I kept on thinking about my mom. And the whole thing, and I didn't feel that anger, that sadness, you know, that whole pissed off, you know, just like, ugh, that feeling was gone. And it really is.
It really
yeah,
is.
It really, I have to tell you, it's gone. Now, I might have like a bit left, you know. The true test will be later on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the true test, but I can honestly say, I think about it, and it's not that big of an issue. Yeah, and I don't want to be there anyways anymore. You know, I want to be, you know, I want to be clean. I want to be whole. I want to love.
And I feel like on that topic you did, I feel like on that topic last night, okay, so there's two threads for me.
Okay.
I wanna touch the phone issue one last time.
Okay.
The part that is important to me,
Okay.
and me honoring you. If you notice, when you and I want you to like comb through your body. I'm grateful that touched those buttons, and I want to make sure that you know that you're honored here. In the other context, okay, while you and I are communicating, and while we are engaged, I don't touch my fucking phone. I don't see it. I don't glance at it. I don't care. Everything there can wait. While you were in your process, I was not engaged with you. I was still here, and the minute that you came out of it, you have 1,000% of my attention. While you were in your process and feeling your emotions, and I was encouraging you, no, this ain't the time for talk, feel. No, this ain't the time for question, feel. You're in this shit. While you were there was no diminishment of my service to you by being engaged in other conversation while you were in your thing. However, if you perceive that there is, I'm okay sitting and not doing anything. I am okay with it. I am okay. I just want you to know I was honoring you, and the second that you pulled out and you were ready, you're the only thing that matters to me. And I guess like if I flip the coin over, if I'm in your shoes and I'm going through it, could I be okay with the person that's helping me while I'm gone and I'm in my process? Could I be okay with them handling communications and doing stuff? As long as the minute I come back out of it and I come back to them, they're 100% on with me and they stop. So that's what I feel about it. And I just want to make sure you're completely honored and that you know that I was honoring you ready the second you came out of it. I don't have nothing else but you.
I do feel honored. I mean, I feel a great bit of difference, and I know you honor me. I know you. So I do feel honored, and I'm telling you, that's how I felt. Like a twinge of it when I saw you. It wasn't big. So I'm just letting you know, that I'm okay.
Beautiful. And then...
And I don't, and another part is, I'd probably do the same thing if I were you. Yeah. So I'm acknowledging that,
Awesome. Yeah. And only while you're in that
only
place
when I was
where
in,
where you're not engaged.
Why should you be single? Like you said,
Totally, 100%. I'm really grateful. And to me, navigating through, most people leave those conversations. It's like, why hash through it? Because when you hash through it, there's nothing left to stack up for the next day.
Yeah, that is beautiful right there, because I realize now that is where we get, the blockages.
That's
when
exactly
we do not finish, like you said, when we don't finish a conversation, like we're supposed to finish a conversation.
Forget the supposed to. When we don't, because that brings in, that be present with
Yeah.
When you add that in, when we don't finish it like we're supposed to, that means there's some authority out there who's watching to see you didn't do it like you're supposed to. No. How about this? Try this on for your own personal power. When we don't finish the communication to where we have both achieved understanding and harmony with no remaining residual yuck.
Yeah. That's the beautiful part. So, no blockages, nothing.
Yeah.
And too bad little kids can't do that very well, right? Well, I'm just saying, when you're a little child, you can't, I mean, you try to converse, right? But you can't speak.
Who is this you that we're talking about?
Huh?
Who is this you that we're talking about?
Oh, I was just
My children
thinking,
do. My children do.
Oh, when they're babies, they cannot communicate
As
well.
babies.
Yeah,
as
that's
babies,
what I
they don't
meant.
have the ability to
They
verbally.
don't have ability, so they're in their situation, is what I'm saying. And we can't communicate with them correctly. With language, but
Right.
possibly a different way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's open this up very briefly and very powerfully. Here's a baby crying.
Yeah.
I turn with absolute presence,
Yeah.
connect eye to eye, pick the baby up, and I hold the baby without a cell phone or anything else, and I breathe, and I tune in, diaper's clean, belly's full, just wanted to be held. And I hold until the last. And I make eye contact. And I just did what you said we can't do.
Well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and I think the whole eye contact and holding is great. You know, that's what we should do.
Should? Why? Why should we?
Okay, that's what. Well, what? Okay, that's what. Well, I say should because that's what most people do not do. You know, most people, because the baby doesn't stop crying most of the time. The baby continues to cry, and then we don't know if she's hungry or what, right? Most of the time they don't stop crying, and we cannot put them back down, right?
Why do you figure that is?
Because I've raised a child and I've seen other babies.
No. Why do you think it is that happens? That they often
Because
don't.
they still don't have their needs met,
That's right.
right?
That's
they still
exactly
need
right.
something else that we can't figure out because we can't communicate to them in a way that they can
I don't
understand.
agree. I don't
The
agree
eye
with that.
contact is great. Okay, so how else do we communicate to make sure that their needs are met?
Well, okay, so this is big, and
Yeah,
this
this is big.
and
Because
there's
a lot of people don't really realize that, right?
I think most people don't think about it because it's so uncomfortable that they just bypass it. So this is something. There's two things happening here at the same time with you and me. One of them is this conversation and its topic itself, and second, the habit you've had of shoulding and assuming that the way, like you were looking, you remember there's 2 or 3 times or more now that we've been talking, including just one moment ago, when you're looking for how could I say this? Like, how could I say this that would actually be level 5, right? That's a question that's running in your mind. The way that you do it is that you forget about yours, and you forget about shoulds, and you forget about supposed tos, and you come totally inside of yourself as the center of the universe, and it becomes an I feel and I prefer. And from here, I can navigate and communicate anything level 5 true, which doesn't mean I said it right. It means I said it in the way that facilitates more of what I want to experience. So here's how it is. That child's crying. If and only if I meet that child with 100% presence. Because you said the child's not getting his needs met. Well, then our first question maybe could be, what is the need? And if we would focus on that question, child's needs not getting met, what is the need? And how can I desire to meet the need? My intention is to meet the need. I don't just want to make the stupid little fucking bastard stop crying. But very often that's what the parent is thinking. I just want to make this motherfucker stop crying. You want a guaranteed way to keep the child crying? Focus on trying to make them stop crying. because that's not what the need is. If we would meet that child with total and complete presence. Now, I don't know on this trip that you'll be around me and my kids. I just want to say this. Everybody that ever is either cries or moans or oohs and ahs or talks incessantly about what they see. And the reason is I meet my kids with absolute, utter, total, and complete presence most of the time when I'm with them. Okay? I gotta say this, I don't care, proud schmout, I don't care how it sounds. I've never seen another parent do what I do, and I didn't say I'm the only one who does. I said I haven't yet seen anyone who does. I watch people very close to me neglect their kids so severely and have no idea that they're doing it. No idea that they're doing it because they literally don't have any clue how to connect with their child, so they're just doing the best they can. Okay? I get down to their level and I look in their eyes. When they're speaking, the only thing in my universe is this being in front of me. Their heart, their mind, their words, their feelings. And I hear way more than their words. And the reason I'm able, back to what we were talking about several minutes ago, the reason I'm able to do spell breaking is because I hear the whole person. That's how I'm able to do it. I don't hear just the words. And the way I can catch every single word you say, I hear when you're speaking from your infinite being, and I hear when you're speaking from your beliefs, and I can always tell the difference in the millisecond when it changes because I'm totally present to you. So back to the baby. If we would meet that baby with absolute presence, we would be meeting its needs, and it would stop crying. Now, absolute presence might reveal to me, oh, it's got fever. Absolute presence might reveal to me, stinky diaper. Absolute presence might reveal to me, this baby's feeling a little bit of a need for a connection right now. And it just wants to be held with total presence. And that means that if I hold that baby without total presence, I could literally have the baby like this. Its eyes are against my shoulder and I'm holding it, thinking I'm fooling it while I'm scrolling through Facebook. I'm not going to fool that baby for a minute because it totally knows everything. It's feeling my feelings and reading my thoughts, whether I know it or not. So it's not that we can't, we should, or it's be present. That's the issue, be present. And that's the present. And you were telling me last night you've been doing that more and more and more with your son. Definitely. So this is sticky and complicated. It's a little bit weird to understand. Looking from there, everything you've done up until now was actually perfect. One of the buttons that got pushed last night was when you felt like maybe I was not knowing some of the things you've done, quote, right with him. Now, my words are not perfect on this, but when you felt like I was saying that you aren't present with him and you have been, if you find that upsetting, what that means is there's something in you that you already doubt. In other words, every mother, every father who feels, and we almost all do feel, I fucked up with my kid. But we don't want that to be true, and we find that very sad. So then, whenever someone points out, you know what, let's don't make it about kids for a minute. If you think you're fat, and you look in the mirror and you see fat and you think fat is bad, you don't want anybody to ever say anything about you being fat. Because that's going to hit your button and make you upset. When in fact, if you thought, I have excess weight on me and it's great, someone could say, you tub of lard, and you'd be like, well, yeah, a little bit. It literally wouldn't trigger any unpleasant feeling. In other words, we are absolutely positive all the time that people saying these things make me feel upset, when the fact is, I already feel upset. If I didn't already feel upset about it, there's nothing anyone could say that would trigger the feeling of upset. We're all convinced all the time that they say it and it makes me feel upset. You were convinced last night that you were upset because I said what I said.
Yeah, I think so. I bring it even further. I felt like you you did not hear me. You were not listening to me. Again, so it all went back to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You went even further than that. Like, you know, instead of that, it was more like, if I feel dishonored, you know, you did not listen to me, you did not hear me.
I feel like it was both. I feel like it was both. Is it possible that it was both? Yeah. Is it possible? Because you were very specifically and very clearly upset about what I was saying on that topic, and you were upset about feeling not heard.
Well, and the other part is I have done so much. I've given up my life for my kids.
There it is.
Yeah. And I really have. I have
yes,
done
you have.
so much for that child. And I know doing so much is not the best thing.
That's right.
But yet, that's what I did. Okay? And so I have even went to the point of doing all the things that you said, you know. And I was present with him. I was patient with him. No, I shouldn't say patient. So I was listening to him. I was letting him rant and rave. And this has been just recently. So when you, I should say, when I heard you say, that I wasn't, or I may not have been, or I should, or what, okay, I'm not going to go with it. When I heard that...
Let me cut it straight to the chase with you, because this is what I do. Yes, I'm interrupting you, and I'm doing my work with you.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm doing my work with you. Here's the deal. While you have the emotions inside of you that you have, it is inevitable, unavoidable, and you're not wrong or bad. It is absolutely unquestionably true that at times with him, you cannot be totally present. You can at best be patient. Absolutely, unquestionably, no doubt about it. Devin, I breathe. I know you got things to say. Just breathe and be present. This is what you're here for. Last night, Dev said something to me. Now, my last few days are a little bit of a blur for me. Actually, my last month and a half. She said something to me. I'm going to see if it comes back up. And if it doesn't come back up, I'm just going to keep on rolling with this. I know you have things to say. I know you have things you want me to know. I know you have things to clear. And not a single one of those is going to help you get more of what you want. Dev said something about how, you know, we can be more present than we are when we're triggered. And I said, no, that's not true. When we're triggered, it's impossible for us to be logical or present or anything else. We actually have to become present again. Do you remember?
No, it was a choice, that we have a choice. Even being triggered is a choice.
Yeah, and I say it's absolutely not a fucking choice. It is utterly not a choice. And here's why. You have, my dear, we're going to be present with me now. I see you going off thinking
about those.
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
And that's natural too. And then what you want to do is, rather than thinking about what was just said, you want to be present with what's being said, because you're an infinite, unlimited being. You can do this. And you never have to worry about what you said last night, about your train of thought. I might lose mine right now, and I don't give a fuck, because I'm gonna share something with you that came up last night. It's so huge and so important. If you guys can help me get back to that thing about choice, do. Okay, listen to this. I used to do exactly to the letter, exactly what you're doing, and I used to feel everything you said last night about, yeah, but if I don't, I got this thing, and I know I want to say it. If I don't say it, well, then how I might forget my train of thought. If I forget my train. And over the last 7 years, I've reached absolute, total, utter, and complete peace. I don't need to remember that. I don't need to make sure I say that. It doesn't fucking matter. The part of me that thinks, yeah, but I need to say this, and what if I lose my train of thought? That's the part that's making all the fucking problems. And I love it, and I need it, and I have released and allowed it to become infinite possibilities again. And I literally couldn't care less if I ever lose my train of thought. There's nothing I need to say that's so fucking important that I can't be present to the person in front of me saying everything they have to say, because I'll still be an infinite, unlimited being tapped into all the knowledge, information, and wisdom and power that's ever been when they're done talking.
Yeah.
So I have peace. And now I can listen without having to think about what they just said. In school, they taught us to take notes while the person's talking. That's the dumbest fucking thing anyone has ever said, because you can't hear what they're saying if you're writing down what they said. And I can't follow what you're saying if I'm thinking about what you just said. So I choose presence. And now I have peace. So on that issue of choice, if you have a feeling in you that you have been a bad mother in any way, shape, or form on any topic, you feel guilt, shame, fear, sadness about things that you've done, then there are going to be things that are going to happen in life that are going to give you a chance to feel those feelings. And when they come up, you're going to probably be like everybody else, and you're going to think, that motherfucker just made me feel this. Nope, those feelings were in you. They said something. And if you didn't already feel like you were fat, if you didn't already feel like you were a stupid fucking loser, if you didn't already feel like you were worthless, then nothing they say could ever make you feel it. They're triggering the fact that you already feel it. So it's not a choice. Being triggered is the fruit of having anger, sadness, and fear that we haven't resolved on topics that matter to us.
Being triggered is a way to release.
That's exactly what it is. Every trigger is the opportunity to feel it. Well, I want to be super clear with you. It's not about getting rid of it, because getting rid of it is the same thing as making that stupid fucking baby stop crying.
Right, I love it.
That's right. To meet it and feel it and allow it to express, and when it expresses, it presses out, it becomes infinite, unlimited energy looping around me again, as opposed to frozen energy inside of me. Yummy, 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 yummy. Changes everything. Changes everything. That's what this is about. So we learn to meet that sorry motherfucking critical judgmental asshole that said that shit about me and made me feel so shitty. We learn to meet them as the angel bringing us the message, which actually is a secret coded message that says, excuse me, my dear, you secretly believe that you fucked up with your child. I'd like to let you feel that feeling so you can release it now.
Yeah. I think this is in your book, isn't it?
In ways,
In a
I'm
way,
explaining
yeah.
it in deeper,
Yeah.
higher levels
Yeah.
now. Yeah, to meet the person that comes as the
Exactly.
miracle that they are, but we don't, because they made us feel this shitty feeling.
Yeah.
Now I'm triggered. I see you as the enemy.
Yeah. Or it was even in conscious communication. It was about not only listening to somebody, but listening with your eyes and your heart. And it was also, it was the same chapter, it was about, you know, you see, you get attacked, you feel like you're attacked, but look at the blessing, look at the gift in that. Look at the gift, and it's not against you, or it's not, it's for you.
It's always for you.
It's always
Yeah.
for you, it's not against you, it's for you.
And remembering that when we're triggered is pretty much fucking impossible.
Yeah, that's pretty. Oh yeah, this is for me. Okay, thanks a lot. Fuck you, fucking asshole.
Exactly. All right, so let's give that a big aho.
Oh.
We got that. It sinks in. I'm going to live this. I set the intention before we go to the next topic. This is that. I got it. And I will remember this, and I will relive this, and I will revisit this, and I know that I'll get plenty of opportunities to seemingly forget it. And I just choose to remember it faster every time until it becomes my second nature, and then I remember it was actually my first nature. Changes everything.